Hey everyone, we're here with Andy. Andy's from Pyres. Did I say that right?
That's right. You're one of the few who have said it correctly.
Fuck yeah. I was like, I think it's Pyres.
Yeah, we've had some weird ones. There's been some weird ones for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the funniest thing for me is watching people try to pronounce some band names. You're like, what the fuck?
Oof. Yeah,
Um, so Yun, is that right?
that's correct. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Yun is the new album, came out March 7th on this one I'm going to get wrong, Hypethral Records.
I believe it's Hypaethral.
There we go. See, I told you
I'm
I
going to
get
go with
one
that.
wrong.
Chris can correct me, but that will have been a 15-year error on my
Yeah.
part. So
Fuck yeah,
right
whatever.
on.
I'm sure most people are like me, like I don't know how to say it.
Hmm.
So I've listened to the album through a lot actually.
Oh,
Like
thank you. Thanks for that.
like I probably listened to it 3 times yesterday. Like it is a fucking killer album.
It's a big listen. That's a lot to take in three times back to back.
Yeah, yeah. And twice today, I'm like, holy shit,
Appreciate you taking the time, man. Thank you.
for sure. It's you guys are new to me, right? Like so
Right.
I really wanted to like dive into the album and honestly I was reading some of the some of your story which like the trauma and shit that you've dealt with over the last 12 or so years. I have a little bit of that also,
Yeah,
not
it's
quite
nice.
to
It's nice when I have a conversation with somebody who has an understanding of that. There's a gentleman that I just spoke to today who's kind of experienced a lot of the same things that I have, and it makes for a one of my missions with this album is to kind of finally sort of marry the personal experience and the things I want to say and get off my chest with cool sludge metal.
yeah,
I'm just arriving at that place of comfort and just being able to sort of say like this is what I want to do and this is what I want to say with the guys that I enjoy spending my time with the time I have left on
yeah.
on this earth. So thanks
So
for taking the
great.
time.
Hell yeah, dude. Like I had that conversation with someone today. Actually, had it with my sister who
Mm.
just moved away from me. She's like, she's like, I just, I hated this part of my life. Like I needed to do something. I'm like, life's too short, man. Don't live in a place where you hate it and you're anxious all the time. Like you've got to get out and enjoy it, you
If
know?
you got something burning in your guts, like you gotta answer that call. It's things outside of your personal orbit in this world, in North America and Europe, things are not getting any better for anyone. So if you have something that you're holding within you, that you got to get out of, whether it's just relocating or getting a piece of art out into the world, you gotta do yourself that service. You got to do it. You got to go for it.
For sure. So like, knowing what I know now, about your sister and like I kind of want to tiptoe around it, but the reality is there's really no easy way to like tiptoe, like
No, for
she,
sure. It's uncomfortable for I guess people in your position, to strike that conversation. But while we're here for the record and the band and to talk about the riffs and the production and all that kind of stuff, this is a personal statement as well. I had a lot of conversations with my brothers in the band about kind of what I wanted to do with the material and what I wanted to sing over top of these riffs. And I mean, these guys in some cases, like I'll just cut to the chase, like Mark and Devin, the bass player and the guitar player, like these were the guys that were at my sister's funeral. These are the guys that's in Mark's case. Mark and I lived together for 6 years, so they've been with me through this whole journey, and I think we never had kind of a spoken pact necessarily, but there was just an agreement amongst us, like we're all on board. This is where we're headed with this record, and it's nice to feel sort of supported by the guys on that one.
oh yeah. So like obviously, some of what you've dealt with bleeds through on this record,
That's right. Yeah.
it and the two standout tracks for me are A Depth Charge and A Dead Sea and Old Dogs. I think the way the album ends with Old Dogs is like magnifique. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Okay, I'm breathing
the
a sigh of relief there because that's kind of I mean, while the song kind of resolves in the big doom metal outro, and there's the kind of the payoff, at the end. Um, so many risks were taken with that song, right? It's got two verses, two very plain spoken verses that just kind of say what they say. They're not very illustrative lyrics intentionally. And then it has this sort of wordless chorus, and then that whole sort of expanse towards the end of the song. That was done like that was improv in the studio with our producer Greg Dawson. We were just like Mark brought his synth, and there was like an old Gibson acoustic guitar on the rack beside me, and we just kind of pieced that together in the studio. So I had deliberately left a big chunk of time in that song for like I joked about it being like free jazz or something, like let's just freak out in this part, and so that's what ended up that's what ended up on the record. And the song itself as well was written in 2014,
okay.
right after my father had passed away, and so it is kind of a snapshot of that very real time for me, where that's just kind of how I felt, and that's the music that kind of came out of me with my V drums and my guitar at home. So the fact that that's on the record, the fact that that's resonated with you is really cool because I think for like the sludge metal purists, maybe it would be a kind of a turn off or something. Who knows? I think people are
Well,
largely pretty open minded, but it is very different for us.
it's I think people are more open-minded today than they were 12, 15 years ago.
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know, um, especially, when you get into heavier music, there's such a mix of styles, they're
Yeah.
throwing pop in with metal and what have you. But
Yeah.
um,
Somebody had said that they heard like Earth in that song,
okay.
like the bees laid honey in the lion's skull. The bees made honey in the lion's skull, and yeah, for sure. I think maybe at the time I was even listening to a band called U.S. Christmas that were on like Neurot recordings, and they put out like this 25-minute song called The Valley Path, and it was like very sparse guitars, lots of reverb, vocals kind of intermittently throughout the song, and it just kind of took its time, and there was this big journey, and so that's kind of if there was a musical inspiration for Old Dogs, it's probably kind of where I was at the time
Okay.
and what I was listening to. But yeah, Depth Charge and the Dead Sea too. A lot of people are talking about that one as kind of a standout on the record.
Such a such a good album because it's not overall, the album as a whole is really good. Those two tracks for me are they're the two that really resonated with me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe partially because of where I'm at, psychologically or whatever. But
Well,
I really,
mission accomplished, I guess. Thank you
yeah,
for
I resonate with slower, I guess slower tracks.
yeah, for sure. We're definitely dabble in like doom metal and stuff, but I feel like with those two songs, like that format or that sort of that subgenre. And we pull from all sorts of different influences, but when we used or utilized doom metal, it's for the emotional effect, right?
Right.
It's not just like um, play slow riffs, get stoned, rock out with your hair in your face kind of thing. It's very purposeful. Like we're like, and if the song in this case of Depth Charge, if that song needs to be 13 minutes long, that's how long that song needs to be.
Sure. That's, you know, I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about the underground like music scene because it's not songs are 3.5 minutes, 5 is kind of pushing it, but nothing beyond like 5. But you
Yeah,
get, I don't know, I got an album yesterday from I mean I call it an album. It's two songs and it was 44, 45 minutes.
Was it a
I'm like,
Bell Witch record or
no.
that's yeah,
The band is called Ungraven.
Ungraven. Okay.
So it's John Davis and a dude from Conan and a dude who used to be in Conan
Oh,
did
cool.
this.
Very cool. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. But you get it runs the gamut,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
you get your, 2 second songs to your 20 or 30 minute,
Okay.
opuses, which is fucking great. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that in our case with like a Depth Charge and a Dead Sea or Old Dogs, like on the first record, You're Asleep, like there's a 10-minute song and there's an 8-minute or a 9-minute song. Some of them are 6 or 7 minutes, but that's just a product of like the band being kind of stoked on the riffs or excited about the song. So, you know, what would start as a collection of a few riffs that I'd bring to the jam space would ultimately kind of balloon outward into an 8 or 10 minute song because of like, we got to do that now. And then Mark would come up with a guitar part, and I'd want to harmonize that, and then I'd want to throw in like a psychedelic kind of or a Russian circles part or something like that. So the length of the songs are just a byproduct of us getting kind of stoked on the creation of the song, and that's kind of how you know. But it's funny because with the two songs that you mentioned, the rest of the record is actually quite a bit more like up tempo
Oh yeah.
with a lot more kind of hardcore influences and stuff, and even a bit of kind of punk and grunge in the song Lineage. I think it's our shortest song at like 4 minutes, and it's like our fastest kind of rock and roll, sort of punk rock and roll kind of song with
Well,
the
dude, and the
guitars and stuff.
guitar in that like
Yeah.
crushes the whole way. And I mentioned those two tracks, and yeah, they are the slowest tracks on the album.
Mm.
But some not all came back, right? Is another one that is just like, man, what a fucking I'm like listening to it. Every time I hear it, I'm like, fuck, what song is that? Oh shit. God, I love that
Nice.
fucking song,
That's great. Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Um, and I think there are a lot of people out there who overall will enjoy the album from start to finish. Like,
Yeah, and we like to pull in from a lot of different sources. Like I Devin and I, the bass player, and I still listen to like a lot of hardcore and punk. And Alex, our new drummer, he's much more into kind of more brutal, technical kind of stuff. And so, um, yeah, at the end of the day, and I'm very much into like full length albums. I like to listen to an album from start to finish, and you really kind of get the artist's statement, from beginning to end. Like, what is the story? If there is a story, what is the band trying to say? Obviously, the band in the studio, they're working hard to craft this thing that they want you to experience. So, um, yeah, there's points on the record where we kind of go from here to here, and it's very sort of deliberate, with a Depth Charge kind of being the centerpiece of the album. We kind of hammer you with the first two tracks, and then like just sit back. Like, now that you're involved in this
yeah.
in this this piece of work, like let's start telling the story. Let's take you there.
So like writing, obviously you uh started writing this sounds like in 2014.
Some
Um,
songs, yeah.
like with everything, has like the finished product for you been like real cathartic where you're just like, oh man, it's nice to finally get
Yeah,
out.
cathartic, especially with like the work involved and the time involved, and like I've said it in a few conversations where at a certain point during COVID, when our drummer had moved away and there was all this uncertainty that ended up being like a 4 year absence for us from the last show we played before the pandemic to when we finally started kind of rehearsing again. I was sort of like, okay, like I'm just gonna do it for myself. I'm gonna record these songs. I can play drums pretty well, and I think if I can track them with the right guy, that I can get the results I'm looking for, and just to get the songs out in whatever way I can. But it was a matter of like just good luck and timing that I found Alex through a mutual friend, like a promoter in the city, and he had offered us a gig, and I was like, hell yeah, man, that sounds great. But do you know anybody who plays drums? And so he's like, as a matter of fact, I do. So we found Alex through this mutual friend, and then the work really kind of got started. It was like, okay, I'm not gonna squander this opportunity with a great drummer to get the band back together with most of the original guys. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been a very very busy year of like recording and working with the label and working with graphic designers and artists. And this was also the first time that I recorded vocals myself, like alone in our space. So it's just like 50, 60 hours of me just beating my head against the wall and trying to craft these harmonies and try some new techniques and stuff. So yeah, cathartic is definitely like we're able to kind of sit back and go, okay, like it's done now. But there's also an excitement that I guess the year that we've put into this work, we're kind of like, okay, now let's just like keep going. Like let's keep writing. I got my guitar here, try to make some time every day to come up with a new riff and send it to the guys. And then personally as well, like it's a very cathartic experience. I feel like I was able to say the things that I want to say, and I feel like it's an honest piece of work in the sense that there's no part of me that like wishes I would have done things differently with the
Right.
approach, and especially when dealing with kind of matters of personal grief and trauma and stuff. There's not necessarily real closure when you lose somebody violently, but through this art or this medium, I can find a bit of peace in knowing that I've put myself into this music. So it's also kind of therapeutic in
Yeah.
that regard. Yeah.
I think a lot of people need that outlet, whatever that outlet is, right? And I think from an artist perspective, when you're able to put that piece of you into a song, it doesn't necessarily go away, but it takes some of that emotional ownership away. Like, oh, okay, like I'm dealing with this in a healthy aspect. I'm not, out doing a bunch
Yeah.
of fentanyl or going crazy with it, you
That's a
know?
really great point. Yeah, there's a certain element of like people who have traumatic pasts tend to either repeat certain behaviors or self-sabotage in certain ways. And I'm no stranger to that. I will admit that like some of the a large portion of the time spent between records was spent grieving and drinking and sitting and thinking, you know. So we always jammed and we always had fresh ideas and we always got together and had a good time. But I wasn't personally able to be sort of the captain of the ship in that moment, and then that moment kind of got away from us. So we weren't really able to like uh, answer the call and promote the first record as best as we could. And while it is like a collaborative process, a lot of the times, especially the guitar writing and stuff between Mark and I, there is a sort of a presumption within the band that like I'm sort of the this is kind of my baby or this is like my band. Um, so I felt sort of like a personal responsibility at the time that I wasn't able to kind of like meet the demands of. So this time around, it feels a lot more constructive, and there's goalposts that we sort of put out for ourselves, and we're just operating on a much more professional level. And as a personal outlet, it's also been a lot more satisfying to put the work in and see the results.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say so. And I'm sure, the age or the last decade or so of wisdom that that you've learned has helped guide you to that, like, oh, okay, maybe
yeah,
we're not just gonna like fuck around and like, yeah, whatever. Like
yeah.
it's
We were
nice to have
definitely
those
like
goals.
exactly, and we were definitely a band that was like quite happy to answer whatever call we got. But it was like a I guess people can be broken up into kind of two groups in a situational manner, like proactive or reactive. Reactive was us being lucky to have a guy approach us and say, "Hey, like, do you guys want to do a record together?" because we didn't have a plan. So that's how the first one came out. It was just like a guy, John out in Colorado with Granite House had sent us an email, and we were like, hell yeah, let's go. This was like, got the band back together, sick new drummer, started working with a visual artist, approached High Patrol, Chris, uh, kind of just worked up some liquid courage one night, sent him an Instagram message. I was like, "You guys want to work together?" And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." So this was all kind of a process of like determination. Like, okay, we're gonna do this thing, then we're gonna do this thing, and yeah, it's I think it's just like we're 40-year-old dads.
Yeah.
We understand like responsibility and sacrifice, and time and money too. I mean, recording doesn't come cheap, right? Making a good record can eat into your savings pretty quickly.
Well, that's it. And when when you have a family that you have your family at home, it's like, okay, if I'm going to dedicate myself to this other thing, also, I've got to first, I have to rank like the hierarchy of my life. What's the
Your
most,
priorities and yeah,
yeah, what's
yeah,
the most important thing? And
yeah,
is this in its current form part of that, And
sure. Or is like, if you're going to spend any time, whatever free time you do have, you want to sort of maximize the potential of it,
yeah,
right? Like I'm not the kind of person that like just wants to play golf on the weekends or whatever. Like if I have a project, I'm usually going to try and pour myself into it. And I think it's just a matter. Somebody had said I kind of play bass in another band that help these guys out in a sort of rock and roll band, and they were kind of concerned with my schedule, with my business and my kid who was like newborn at the time. They're like, we're very respectful of the time that you have, but like, are you good? And I was like, yeah. I mean, if I say that I have the time to do it, you guys don't have to worry. And he said, he's like, yeah, okay, like ask a busy guy. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there, like the people out there that have time to sort of sit and watch Netflix every night, that's by design. Like they
yeah.
they want they want that. They want the me time, and they got to decompress at the end of the workday, and that's fine. Um, but there is kind of a mentality of like the busy person who will make the time is going to like deliver or and I think that's kind of the case with the guys in the band too. Like our drummer Alex, he's a new dad. He had his first kid like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and we're jamming tonight for the first time actually since the baby was born.
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah, he's like,
Well,
okay, I got 2 hours to do this, and let's make it count.
you got to, because it's, the thing that I've heard my whole life is time is the most expensive thing that we have, or the most valuable thing that we have. And if you're
Yeah,
gonna dedicate your time on something, like, is that is that time being utilized correctly? Like the Netflix at the end of the day, you know,
absolutely. And
some people it
yeah,
works
if
great.
you're like a high functioning person with a demanding job and two kids and a mortgage and all that kind of stuff, maybe that's exactly what you need, right? Um, but yeah, as you say, like time, the way we interface with time as we get older, it increases in value. I'm like, okay, like I better make the sun's out. I better make today count with my kid. Like we're going to the park. I don't care what else we got to do. We got to make this count. You know, and that's kind of the window of opportunity that we have as friends and bandmates together. Especially how lucky I feel or how fortunate I feel to have a new drummer who's like kind of instantly sort of entrenched himself in the band and has become an integral part of the band. Not just there's never been a feeling that the new guy is like a hired gun. So I want to also like extend respect to the guys who take the time to do this with me. You uh,
I think
yeah,
that's
the way
cool.
that we value our time together has definitely intensified.
Yeah. And I think that's hard for I think any new member of any band, and a band that's been established for years, that new member coming in, sometimes they do feel like that. Like, I'm just a hired gun, but it's I like how you are diligent in like he's not a hired gun. Let's he is part of the family now.
Yeah, and he kind of came busting through the gates, right? Like he sort of stormed the gates when he hopped on board. I would honestly, I would attribute a lot of like the new energy in the band to kind of his. I wouldn't say that like he has this bravado, but he has a confidence, and he has, he's got his skills and he's got his pedigree. It's not his first rodeo. We're not 27 putting 6 beers back in the jam space or whatever. Like he's like, okay, like let's get to work, And when it came time to record the record, it was Alex, our drummer, that first made the suggestion to go to the Sugar Shack in London, Ontario, to work with Simon Larachette because he had produced 2 records with his previous band. He's like, I got my guy. This is where I want to go. I'll book the Airbnb. Just make yourself available. So that's the first 2 sessions for Yun started with Alex's determination to kind of get the ball rolling. So that energy is really a great asset to have.
That's super nice. Especially just, going from, yeah, cool, like this happened and we'll make this first album to, okay, we're gonna make this one fucking count, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
to have and
absolutely.
to have everyone on board, and the new guy as a big driving force is like, all right, this is like you
Yeah,
guys
he kind
feel
of
probably,
lit a fire under our asses a little bit for sure. And
yeah,
the other guys like we're old friends, and so I feel like this is a thing that I want to kind of take it as far as I can go, and I want to be able to kind of meet the moment should there be like demands of the band. But it's also a thing that I do with my best buddies, and they're kind of like, hey man, yeah, like we're along for the ride, and it's a cool thing to be able to still do this with old friends and kind of have the energy levels like better than ever, I think.
hmm, that's funny. The older you get, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're like shit. I mean, literally, like we're running out of time.
yeah, yeah. I think there comes a point in your life where you like look and go, cool, man. Like, if I live to 70, I am, 3/4 of the way done with my life, or
Yep.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to make it happen. So, what are some of the goals with this album that you all have set?
Well, because we knew that there was a baby on the way, we didn't go ahead and like book a release tour around the Ontario area. Um, but we have like a number of shows lined up. Um, and there is a really great event that's happening uh, in June. It's like a kind of doom metal festival, second anniversary or second annual doom metal festival that was pretty successful last year, and we're taking part in that. That's very cool.
Prepare the
Uh,
ground?
Prepare the ground. I wish, I wish, because 2008 and Andy Wilson is. We've got Baroness doing Red and Blue. We got Coliseum, Kylesa, Young Widows, Atlas Moth. That's just like some of those bands were the reason why I started Pyres.
Oh
It
yeah.
was like Static Tensions by Kylesa and Red Album by Baroness. It was just like I got to do that. Um, yeah, this is called
I
Rune Mountain Doomfest, and it's going to be
oh
held on an
gotcha.
Air Force base, which is rad. I've never played like anything like that, so that's exciting. But
That's
yeah, we
cool
just we,
shit.
we just we just want to be able to kind of have more momentum, and like I think we're all prepared, as we say. The way that we utilize our time together now is like if an option comes up for us to do a little run of shows or participate in things like that we're more just looking at it as like a logistics issue rather than like we're not going to be doing any world tours, but we do want to just, if something comes our way, we go, okay, what are the logistics? Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you book time off work? There's a very calm sort of professionalism. Like, okay, it's almost just like problem solving. So we just want to be able to kind of like maintain, I guess, like the hype around this record and kind of do justice by the label and the people involved, our producer and the work that he put into it, and just get it to as many people as possible.
I think that's smart. And it's, you know, when you're 23, 24 and you don't have a family, it's like, yeah, let's live in a van, let's do whatever we can. And I
Oh yeah.
think I think where you guys are now, it's like it's smart to go, okay, does this make sense? Because, you could, if you wanted, right, you could fucking play a show anywhere in the world you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's the beauty of the internet. Jesus.
It's
But
pretty cool. Yeah. It's not difficult to like go play a couple shows, go do 3 or 4 days in the US or whatever. I've done it, before in the past. And yeah, it's just like, yeah, the internet is extremely valuable. It's also like a scary, toxic place. But when it comes to like interfacing with people and like getting like sharing art and sharing music, like we know that like Zuckerberg sucks, but Instagram is a great place for like, meeting other bands and promoters, and that's kind of where the action is. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's amazing how you can like the artist who did the illustrations for Yun. Um, that was like a cold call on Instagram, like a direct message. He's like, check out my work, see if you want to commission like a T-shirt or something. And so we worked on a T-shirt together, and then I liked his work so much that he ended up doing the work for the album, and that's just meeting people online.
it's just networking.
Yeah.
It's like the world today is in such a different place with networking. I mean, look at 80s and 90s, the networking was essentially like tape trading in the mail underground. You
Yeah, it's like Slug and Lettuce or Maximum Rock and Roll. You're like looking in the kind of the back pages of Maximum Rock and Roll and like tape trading and like, I mean I love that. I feel like if the tech apocalypse ever comes, we'll be prepared in the extreme underground.
yeah,
We'll go
I don't.
go back to writing zines again.
That would be great. Well,
Yeah.
but I think the beauty of the internet is now you send an email and you can get a pretty quick response, whereas before you wrote a letter to
Oh yeah.
some guy who's on the other side of the world, and you're like 3 weeks later it shows up. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's definitely something special about getting like a tape in the mail from like your pen pal or something though. That was cool. And I was like a teenager. We had like, a really, really primitive dial-up internet, and just like, yeah, having like a punk rock pen pal somewhere in uh else in the world, and like sending you like, MP3s of this, check out this cool band or something. That was like the very beta stages of like kind of where we're at now.
yeah, yeah. Now it as evil as everyone talks about Spotify. I think with like Spotify, it's how you utilize it, right? Like,
Sure, sure. And I got a real crash course on how valuable Spotify is, even though it pays peanuts. Like I think it's like four bucks every 1,000 streams or something, which is, it's like, okay, our life's work, and you're gonna get 12 bucks this month or something.
yeah,
But probably even less than that. I mean, there's that's just the reality of it. But I was able to kind of get an insight that I didn't have the first time around. This sort of this um, second sort of debut of the band, where we have all these tools at our disposal. So I'm able to see like where people are listening, or like how many people have added the record to their playlists in like the last 7 days. And it's very motivating. It's very illuminating to see, okay, like if an engine like Spotify, a platform like Spotify actually paid, like that would be great, because there's a lot of value in how the app like informs the artist. Like, okay, like there's all these sources and segments and stuff. And
it's the amount of information that they're the that they're able to provide to the artists
Yeah,
is that's worth something. And it's a really good point because before you listen to the radio, you could tell about, like, oh, this radio station is playing it a lot. Like, okay,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. If you
you
were getting
know,
like radio play like once on the hour or something, you'd made it, right? I had a couple
yeah,
homies back in the day that got like one or two of their songs on like the local alternative rock station here in Toronto. And I mean, just like working in the kitchen, at my job, and hear the homies come on like once every hour for like weeks. It was a cool feeling. I was like, those are my guys, man. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but with the way with the information that Spotify provides, though, it gives you a lot of insight. Like, oh, so 30% of our things are in Thailand. Shit. Well, if we
yeah,
market in Thailand, we can probably ship more shit there.
that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I didn't know existed until kind of this rollout and this process was that Spotify has like a function that tells you like what percentage of your listening audience is the app that's like grabbed your song and kind of ran it through the algorithm, and now it's like, so if you open up and you look, it'll be like recommended for you or like today's recommendations or something. And the last time I checked, it was like 57%. So that's like, the app, it doesn't pay, but if you're lucky enough to get your song kind of into the mix, then now Spotify's like working for you
Yeah.
to just generate it and get it out there and stuff. So that's very different from the first time because I mean we weren't exactly like trading tapes, but I had no idea who was who, where from, and how many people were actually listening to the music. It was just out there, and we were fortunate to get a lot of great reception. It hit some of the more popular blogs and stuff, but that's kind of it. It's like, okay, we get some great reviews from the record, but we got 200 followers on Instagram. It's like, where are the people? Like, how do I know? We're just kind of in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I look at it like I look at it, it's like been beaten into my head, like he who holds the information holds the power. So if they
sure.
can, hand you that
Yeah,
information, you you can utilize that information to uh, increase visibility for the band. Like some of the things that I always like looked at when I was younger, in the 80s and 90s were like bands. There was a guy in
yeah,
one of the neighborhoods I lived in that he didn't work. I had no clue. I know he'd leave sometimes for a couple of months and he'd come back and I knew he played music, but I had no clue. And fuck, every time he left, he was over doing Europe and Asia, like
yeah,
touring. Like,
yeah,
holy fuck, that's a thing.
yeah. Totally. It was mind blowing to realize that. And I think you're lucky in certain kind of local circles. Like I was talking to somebody this week about like, they mentioned the Florida death metal scene and how there's that Florida death metal sound, and it's because there's like one or two engineers or producers that all of the bands are working with,
Or a
and
sound, yeah.
ultimately producing a sound that's like, kind of a regional sound. Like you got your sort of your DC hardcore or your Stockholm like melodic death metal or whatever. Like it often just takes like a few people to kind of like, set the brush fire and and watch it spread like that. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's one person. I think at the end of the day, it's one person that does something different from everyone else, and everyone goes, "Holy shit!" Like Steve
Yeah,
Albini, like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to shout out a guy here in Toronto who's he's been at it for a while, but I think this is going to be a banner year for him. He works under the moniker of Black Throne Productions, and the guy is like a lightning rod, man. I don't think he sleeps, and it's like he's booking shows 12 months out, but also putting out records
yeah,
through his imprints, and now he's running a label, and he's got a PR company working for him, and he's got interns, and it's just like I've been able to kind of like watch. the process and watch how much work this one person in particular is like putting into the scene, and then seeing the returns on that and seeing how far, like now he's booking tours.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. And I guess like how much music and how many different bands he's like helping amplify and like get out there and now into other smaller markets in other provinces, um, bringing in bands from the U.S. for this festival that we were talking about. And it's yeah, sometimes it takes like an individual such as yourself, right? You know, you're working pretty tirelessly around the clock, like listening to jugheads like me talk about themselves.
Oh shit. That's the easiest part of my day. Like
Okay.
like I love it. Wake up,
Hmm.
turn on some music and just go. And the
Sick.
best thing is I don't even have to go hunt for it. It comes to my email now. I'm like, hell
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah,
Cool.
that's a testament too to like the power of when you're a younger band, you don't really know necessarily like, oh, it's going to cost us like $1,500 or something out of pocket to invest in like a PR person. And you're like, well, we're an unknown quantity. Like, yeah, we're going to get a couple interviews or something, but like, is it worth it? And you don't have a lot of money going around when you're younger and you're weighing your options. But just the amount of people that I've been able to speak to about this record, that really is like a testament to
Well,
the value of having like a PR company whose sole job is not to like make you look cool. That's your job.
well, and
It's like
let's
just to
clarify
guess.
that because there are good PR companies and then there are PR companies, right? And
Yeah,
like PR company you guys have is they do a great fucking job.
I've noticed. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we're not here to talk about whether someone's performance is good or bad, but I do observe like there are some people that call themselves PR companies and really they're just like an Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yep.
like, oh, like give me $400 and I'll help promote your music. It's like cool. So you're just like a terminally online person with like 3,000 followers and you're just reposting
Yeah. You're
other
just
people's content. Yeah.
you're just sharing my stuff. Like,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, I
Ah,
guess. Sure.
no, I'm 100, like I'm absolutely with you, but I think that's what a lot of people like younger bands don't realize. One is yes, the power of PR, but and it's very important that you vet that PR company or person to make sure they can do what you want them to do,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. And ultimately it still falls on you to like honor the work and the effort that's going into it. Like I can see firsthand how hard some of these people work on often like unknown quantities. Like we have a story and we have like a first record that a lot of people enjoyed, but we're kind of starting from scratch all over again. Like we're kind of it's only once the ball got rolling that people went like, oh shit, these guys have been around for a while. So it's on us. It's a responsibility and a matter of like respect to like show up and like have a good conversation. Try to be professional about it. There's a lot more people involved in the entire process than like I would have ever suspected when I was like 25.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different world, but and it's I think it's a respect for the time and energy and money you guys are putting into it too. It's like if we're going to do this, like let's be focused with it
Yeah.
and diligent and make sure we're not just wasting what we're doing because it's so easy to do. Like, oh yeah, I'll just give this person 400 or 500 bucks a month and they'll just give me, they'll take care of everything. Like, fuck that, dude.
Yeah, totally. It's an ecosystem, right? And you
Mhm.
want to yeah, I just want to you want like the more you interface or the more you kind of like network with people, the more I feel like the more responsibility and mutual understanding and kind of like I see you, I see the work that you do. So I'm also going to do the work to help amplify you so that you can help amplify future artists. And that's how we keep this thing going, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's, you look at it like, you have a restaurant?
I do.
So you like, we'll call it as the owner, right? Like you have a
Yeah.
restaurant. If you're going to hire a general manager or a front of house or back of house, right? You don't hire them to, you're just going to do the job for me. You hire them to amplify the job that you're already doing, and
To
it's,
yeah, especially if you're hiring a manager in like the bar service capacity, like they're often the face of your business. I mean, we're small and we're hands on every day, my partner and I, but the people that we entrust to sort of run the show when we're not around, like we want people to believe that they too are also like the owner. It's
yeah,
and you kind of it's not really like a process of narrowing down applicants or something like that. It's more just like, okay, we're all in this together. We want all of us to succeed. If you succeed, we succeed. If we succeed, we survive, and we can take care of each other. Like we're an ecosystem of like under 10 people.
yeah,
So, and it's the same with the band, right? I mean, the two feel very different to me on any given day, but some of the practices that I sort of apply to like having like a small business, I guess I can kind of carry some of those skills over. It's the same like our drummer Alex as well. He's like in sales of some kind, so he uses words like onboarding, and
yeah.
he knows what's up. He knows kind of how to like push the right buttons. So that's helpful too.
That's so funny. And it's funny, like the verbiage when you talk to like a salesperson
Yeah,
versus,
I feel a little bit dirty. I feel like I've said interfacing like three times in this conversation, but
yeah,
it's just there. It's
it's, yeah, it's the word that right? Like
yeah,
that explains the thing, whatever that thing is. So
yeah,
it's cool. It's cool that you understand it from multiple aspects, like the the being a band, because it can be it can be anything you want it to be, right? If you want it to be
yeah,
fun, yeah, you can absolutely have it to be fun. But
yeah. It's still very much like it's an outlet for all of us in different ways. It's an emotional outlet for me. Like I don't know. I mean, I have conversations with my partner here at home where like things can be a bit tough around the household with balancing childcare and work, and we're on like opposite schedules and all that. But like she knows that like my Tuesday nights are sacred. It's not like deadbeat dad who like just can't wait to get out of the house to go play poker with his buddies. She knows that I need this kind of artwork to like survive as a person, right?
yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah, not
hard.
sure where I was headed with that, but that was coming from here. So
I think that that's another aspect though. Like when you're essentially running two businesses and a family, you've got to be there has to be an understanding with the family. Hey, right? Well, my time with you is my time with you,
absolutely,
and
yeah, yeah,
my time here is this time. So
yeah. And sometimes it's the case of like we might not see each other for like 48 hours sometimes, but um, there's a again to go back to like the mutual respect and the understanding. It's like I'm going to do my part so that you can thrive, and if you're thriving, all of us thrive.
yeah, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah,
So what song on the album to you would you say is the one that really stands out?
I I'm gonna go ahead with. I mean, because I feel like it's kind of riding a bit of a wave right now. It's going to be Depth Charge in the Dead Sea. But if I listen to the record, you know, I'm not going to lie and say like when you listen to your own music, there's things that you wish you would have done differently, at least like in the performances, or like I'm hearing lead guitar parts that I feel like I should have done instead or whatever. But like overall, I'm extremely happy with the whole body of work. But it is going to change from day to day. Today it's a Depth Charge in the Dead Sea. Other times it's like Lineage. I'm like we short and sweet to the point. guitars are on point, rhythm section's tight, cool bass line. We do the big Motorhead wah pedal solo at the end that just kind of makes the hairs on my arm stand up and stuff. And um, I like little earworms. I like little like nuggets. Like you want to when you're done listening to a record, you want to go back and hear it again because you're like, what was that? Oh yeah, that part. That was sick. Shit, I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Um, so we're always, and that's like probably the biggest conversation that we have, like in the jam space when we're writing songs, is like, what if we did this? And everyone will think that's dope. It's that excitement, that trading of ideas, and um, Old Dogs is like spiritually important to me on the record, and it's other than that expanse of noise with the synths and stuff that we kind of created in the studio. That song is completely untouched from 2014. So
Wow.
I think when it was finally done, I definitely wept. Just to kind of hear, I don't know, maybe your own pain like reflected back at you. You're like, I sort of am speaking to myself through this music, and it just kind of dawned on me that like I'm about to let these feelings out into the world. So that was kind of a special sort of overwhelming feeling for a minute there. Um, but let's go with Depth Charge for the sake of the interview.
Okay. Depth Charged. Just you guys should listen to A Depth Charge in a Dead Sea. It's fucking fantastic. Honestly, the whole album. Go go buy you a copy because you don't even have to pre-order. Like it's available as of the 7th,
It's out in the
4 days
wild.
ago.
It's there. It's yeah. Highpathrolrecords.bandcamp.com. That's going to be where you get your physical media, the CD, digital if you want to just buy the digital. We've got some limited merch. There's I believe the shirts are actually the campaign's done. The shirts are sold out, but I have here like some silkscreen posters that we're going to hand number that were done locally here. They're super rad. And then the vinyl has this orange and bone variant color scheme that's kind of in line with the artwork and the sun motif and stuff. So we're really proud of that, and that's on the way. So hypathrolrecords.bandcamp.com. That's the shop, and
I really like what they're doing with vinyl now. Like,
it's cool. And I remember like 20 years ago trying to put out a record, and like you had to work through the Czech Republic, and I think they're called CZ or something now. Still, they're still in operation, but we have like a few manufacturers like here in Ontario. So like kind of anybody who wants to do like a cool colored vinyl, like you can go to the shop and you can see what products are available, and you can put up the cash, lots and lots of cash, and
yeah,
you can do
I
do
just
it yourself. Yeah.
I just picked up there's this killer band out of Evansville, Fairy Ring,
Mm,
that I love
I,
those dudes.
I missed them when they came through. Yeah.
Ah, dude, they came
Yeah,
through with Blessed Black actually.
that's right. Yeah, I think that they were both on tour, the same tour. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like put that on my calendar and everything, and then something came up. I don't know, probably something toddler related.
Yeah. That it comes back through. That's a show that you need to see. So Fairy Ring has I just found out like they did 10 liquid filled vinyl. Like that's it.
So it like when you move it, it kind of like it's like a lava
Oh yeah.
lamp or something.
It's it's got mineral oil inside it.
Hell yeah.
And it's like glittery and shit. So you turn it and it slowly like
Kind of reminds me of Disco Stew from The Simpsons with the fish in his platform shoes.
yes. Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, the future of
So
vinyl.
to do that shit, I mean, Savage Master had a sand filled one, and they had uh, I don't know what the liquid was, but they called it blood, but something like t shit. When I was a kid, you got black vinyl or a solid other color, and that
Right.
was it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I remember when like half and half was a big deal too.
Yeah.
That was revolutionary.
And like this album has so and so's like blood in the ink. Like, oh
Oh.
shit, that's cool. Like. I like that, but
Yeah,
so,
I wonder if you can, you can get somebody's ashes or something printed into the wax
dude,
somehow too.
I bet you can. I bet you can do, I mean, you could get someone's ashes into a diamond. I'm
That's right.
sure they could get it into a vinyl.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Uh,
that's a morbid thought, but it's pretty wild.
yeah, that is a little bit morbid. Oh shit. Okay, Andy, I know you've got shit to do today. I greatly, greatly appreciate your time and the conversation that we've had.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
appreciate your work, man. Thanks for everything, and all the best with the channel. I know you put a lot of time and work into it, so yeah, appreciate you taking the time with me.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, go have a great day. Now I need to go fucking order me a
Yeah,
vinyl.
right on. Please do. Cheers.
Hell yeah. See ya.
Okay, thanks, man.